Hi, this is Kelly, certified divorce coach, doing another video today in our common mindset mistakes in divorce series. Now, today I'm going to be talking about an issue that isn't just a common mindset issue in divorce, but also just a common mindset issue or challenge for all of us. And that is the mindset of, I can't take time for myself. Now, I get it. I am a full-time working mom. I am a single mom of 2 children, a single divorced mom. My kids are in elementary school. Things can get really, really crazy. I work a full-time job in medicine, and I also work my divorce coaching job. So I've kept myself pretty busy. I try to be available for my kids for their activities and for their extracurriculars and for their events. So I get it. It can really feel sometimes like my schedule is completely full. How the hell am I supposed to have time to do anything for me? So when I talk about this issue today, I am talking about it because it is of the utmost importance, and because I continuously do work around making sure that I am taking some time for myself. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the buzzword of self-care. Okay. It's a real buzzword nowadays, but I think that is because a lot of us are still neglecting our own health. And a lot of us are still unclear as to really what self-care entails, what it is, how we can do the self-care. Okay. So, it is truthful to say, right, that a lot of us are putting ourselves last in line. Okay. Particularly us women, we're behind kids, spouses, jobs, household duties. For me, aging parents too. So there are a lot of social responsibilities placed on us that we're accepting, okay, as well as our work responsibilities. So it can be a lot. This is a problem that reaches far beyond what we're going to focus on today. But, you can see how it makes sense that if we're not doing it on a regular basis, when things aren't overly stressful, or I guess above and beyond stressful, right? Above the norm, then when you're going through a stressful, painful time in life, like divorce, then you need a little extra. So what do we do when we haven't even been doing it in the first place, right? What happens if we are not tending to our needs while we're going through divorce? Well, it makes sense, right? That if we're feeling unbalanced when we're trying to make these big decisions, we're exhausted. So our decision making is likely to reflect that. It may be pretty off kilter. And that's not optimal when you're trying to make these really important life decisions. So, we're not well equipped, okay, to deal with high conflict situations. There can be plenty of those going on right now. We're not as resistant or resilient. We're not as flexible. We're not as patient. We're not as kind. We're not as deliberate when we're uncentered. So that can lead to some poor choices. It can lead to some actions and reactions that we may regret afterwards. So, as a divorce coach, think of an athlete training up for a marathon. Okay. You being the athlete and the marathon being the divorce that you're going through. Okay. So you need to support your body during the stress of training to develop a healthy body and a psyche to get through the event. All right. So as a divorce coach, right, I help people get through the process of divorce by getting you prepared physically, mentally, emotionally for the challenges and the ultimate event that's ahead of you. So if we're talking about taking care of ourselves. Okay, if we're talking about self-care, let's simply start with basic human needs. Okay, and I know this may sound silly, but we need things. There are things that we have to have, right? We have to have food. We have to have water. Believe it or not, we have to have sleep. Okay, we may not be getting a lot of it, but we have to have it. So the reason I'm mentioning this is because the physical aspect of all of this is really important. And we all know what, in effect, physical problems, okay, or physical deficiencies can have on our minds and on our spirits, okay? So things like staying hydrated, things like eating a balanced diet, it can go a long way toward improving your mood. And the good thing about all of that is that you can see the results fairly quickly. And it is not a move that will break the bank for you. We all have to eat, okay? So why not try to focus a little bit of time, focus a little bit of thought on the choices that you're making food-wise. Keep them in the house, keep them readily available, so that you know you're getting enough things like protein and vitamins, and the hydration is really important. Drinking enough water can do wonders for your energy level. Just bringing a large bottle of water to work and drinking a couple of those during your work shift, if possible. Finding little ways to sneak in some hydration during your day. I also want to mention the use of alcohol during this process. I mean, just be aware of your alcohol consumption as well as any use of recreational drugs, because it's understandable that during this time, it's painful, it's stressful. You may be looking for what may feel like easy ways to numb and relax. But just be aware that we are not always, acting or reacting well when we're under the influence. So, think about, drunk texting the ex, other erratic behavior. It can also really embellish or overemphasize just the really strong feelings that we're having in general during divorce. So, just kind of keep an eye on that. And in this conversation, we're going to talk a little bit about other things that you can do to try to relax and rest. Rest being the key. So, all of these things, like the alcohol consumption, can also have a direct impact on sleep. And so sleep, I really want to talk about. Most of us are not getting enough sleep. We know through studies and research that we are pretty much all under-rested, and that we are all just grinding it out. I was listening to a podcast recently with Trish Hersey. She has written a book about rest. She is, kind of unpacking the cultural and societal implications of all of us as a culture being very sleep deprived or rest deprived. And one of the messages in that is that the idea of sleep for all of us seems kind of unrealistic a lot of the time, right? Like, we can get the amount of sleep we can get. We can try to go to bed a little bit earlier. I mean, for example, like, my job starts really early in the morning. I have to really, really make a conscious effort to get to bed on time, which is difficult because, when my kids go to bed, then sometimes I just want some time for me. Sometimes I get distracted with other things I need to get done. And sometimes I just want to relax. So I stay up later, and that decreases the amount of sleep I'm getting. But what Hersey talks about is just the idea of rest, what rest looks like. She talks about her grandmother who had several children, worked 2 jobs, and would just come home between shifts and just sit on the couch and just rest her eyes for 30 minutes. Not out of deep sleep. She's still just taking time to sit and just be. Just be. And the fact that we don't really do that. We're going from one thing to the other to the other. And in doing that, we really are not taking any time during the day, to connect with ourselves, to connect with our desires, to connect with our imagination, to have thoughts outside of just our day-to-day activities. And when you're going through a divorce, part of what helps get you through these painful, stressful times is to set your sights on and imagine about and dream about what life you will be building, what life you are in the process of building now, what that might look like, and getting excited about what's ahead for you. Not focusing as much in those times on the challenges that you're facing, or, not going down a fear-driven road, but instead, really daydreaming about, building this new life for yourself. So, it's not just the amount of sleep, but it's also the nature of our sleep that matters. So uninterrupted sleep when we can get it, right? Going to sleep with a positive mindset. And that's something that we'll be talking about in later videos, just how to get yourself in the right frame of mind before going to bed, or to get yourself in a positive frame of mind when you wake up in the morning. And things like using a CPAP if you have sleep apnea, supplementing with things like melatonin as a natural sleep aid to help you sleep through the night. I mean, these are all things that, these are all interventions that can help the quality of your sleep, which then in turn, not only does it help your overall health, but it helps your coping during this time. There are plenty of resources on the internet to give you tips on how to maintain good sleep hygiene. There are a lot of sleep experts out there that give you tips on things to do, not to do before you go to bed. And there are also, all of this, there's all this technology. So apps and features on smart devices that can help you gauge the quality of your sleep. So super important. Now, exercise is a big one too. Okay. And I mean, you may not have been all that into exercising before, but it can be a great way for you to blow off some steam. We keep a lot of energy and emotions locked up in our bodies. So, just getting our bodies moving sometimes can help us work some of those feelings out. So, whether it's strength training or running or yoga or just walking, moving can really make a difference. And again, it's one of those things where it doesn't have to cost any money. It doesn't have to take much time. It doesn't take much time for you to be able to feel the benefits of it. So I'm not talking about, training up for something. I'm not talking about, going to extremes, working out heavily for, an hour, 7 days a week. It can just be a 15-minute activity or 5 minutes, or just some kind of physical exertion that can help you work that stress out of your body. And, these things you can pick and choose. Pick the things that feel easy to you. Pick the things that you have the least amount of resistance towards, so that you can start to build and develop habits of just doing things that are kind and nourishing for you. So, if you're daunted by the idea of getting out and running for 30 minutes, then pick something that's physical that doesn't feel so daunting and start there. It all starts there. So those are some basic things. Emotionally, you may feel like a mess right now and completely unmotivated to do anything that we've just talked about. And that's understandable. Your feelings during this time are maybe all over the place. That's completely valid and completely understandable, but you can't stay there. Staying there in that place is only going to bring you the same results. So talk to a divorce coach to get support from someone who understands the challenges that you're dealing with, and meet with a therapist to help you with your mental health. Sometimes we need to take an antidepressant for a while to help us through. There is no weakness in that. And oftentimes you don't even need them for long term, but they can be helpful when you're going through something like this. Talking with your doctor can help in that regard. Getting regular physicals and preventative exams to help rule out anything else that may be contributing to you not feeling so great right now. All of those things are self-care. Okay. They're basic, but it's saying to yourself, I love you and I care enough about you to make sure that you're healthy, to get yourself checked out, all of those things. Things like group coaching, support groups, those are also great places for you. You can share experiences there. You can get feedback and support from, other people who are going through experiences that are similar to yours. Now, of course, there are additional ways to enhance your self-care. People are talking about these things all the time. But there are techniques that you can use to create awareness around any negative self-talk that you may be doing, and developing skills to deal with that. Now, that can be something that a divorce coach helps you out with, or you can do a cognitive behavioral therapy approach with a therapist, whatever you need to do, because all of us need to start thinking about rebuilding the way that we speak to ourselves, the way that we judge ourselves, the way that we treat ourselves. Be your own advocate. Be kind and gentle with yourself. Treat yourself like you would treat a loved one who's sick or a friend who's going through a tough time, because you are. And so really paying attention to the way that you are thinking, your belief patterns, your self-talk patterns, that can be really important. Another thing is just to find some ways to unwind and relax, like we were talking about rest before. So, whether it's just sitting for a few minutes in silence, if you can find it, or not in silence, sitting, taking a few deep breaths, maybe closing your eyes, just little snippets of that. Sometimes when I'm at work, I work in a hospital environment, but, sometimes I'll just go sit in the lounge, or, I'll run out to my car for 5 or 10 minutes, do a quick meditation, or just sit and close my eyes and breathe, and just kind of get out of my routine for a few minutes so that I can connect with myself, because I have a hard time sometimes connecting with myself when there are a bunch of patients who need things from me, or I'm, wrapped up in my job. So, meditation is great. And believe me, you do not have to be a pro to get benefit out of meditation. I am not a meditation expert, but I have been using meditation techniques for the last few years since I went through my own divorce. And it has completely changed my life. I would not be where I am now, I do not think, if it weren't for my meditation practice. So, breathing techniques, meditation can encourage you to do breathing techniques. You can also look up guided meditations. You can sit for a few minutes and just focus on your breath, or focus on a sound that you hear in the environment. Put on a sound machine and play some white noise. There are plenty of resources out there for that. And that's another video where we'll talk a little bit about meditation as well. But just breathing can help soothe you when you become stressed in the moment. So sometimes when I'm in a stressful situation, I will become aware that I'm feeling stressed, right? That's number one. And that took me a long time to even get a heads up, Kelly, you're feeling stressed. But just taking a moment and taking a few breaths in just a minute can help reset you too. Take a power nap if you can. I mean, I take a nap every day, a 15 to 20 minute nap. I just tell my kids, hey, I'm home from work. I'm taking a 20-minute nap. Please don't disturb me unless you absolutely have to. And it revives me for the rest of the day. Like, it's when I started rediscovering naps, I was like, wow, this really, really helps me. Taking a warm bath at the end of the day. You know, and I know that there's a whole like self-care industry that profits off of us going out and buying candles and buying, you know, eye masks and buying, you know, all this aromatherapy. And those things are wonderful. And they definitely do, you know, they can make you feel wonderful and they can supplement your experience. But it doesn't have to be all pomp and circumstance every time, you know, it can just, you don't have to think of it as a production, because that in and of itself can be overwhelming and sometimes can prevent you from doing any of it. So just, you know, keep it simple. If that's the only, you know, if that's the only way you can get it in, just keep it as simple as possible. Path of least resistance, right? Pick something that's easy. So yeah, there are tons of resources out there for you in terms of helping find ways to replenish and refocus yourself. You know, self-care is not a selfish act, okay? It's not indulgent. That is what our society has always wanted us to think. Okay, this is how they're able to get the productivity out of us that they need in order to, you know, profit from all of us little worker bees that are running around out there. Okay. It is your right to take care of yourself. Okay. We also, some of us have little humans to take care of. Okay. We have to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of the little humans. Okay. If you don't take care of yourself right now, who will? All right. Right now you're going through a divorce. It's just you and your friends and your family, right? And if you're not being taken care of, then how can you help take care of others in your life who need you? Okay. You need to come first. And I know that's hard to do, but this is not an option. It's not an option for you to neglect yourself. Your kids need you to be strong and healthy. Your friends and family need you to be strong and healthy. And you need to be strong and healthy to help you get through the divorce. So after this video, I really want you to just take a moment to think about what we talked about today and pick out something, just one thing to focus on tomorrow. Make it small, make it doable. Pick out something that appeals to you and then just do it. Make it a part of your day tomorrow. And then maybe the next day you pick something else. But again, start with the things you have the least resistance to. Make it easy so that you can gain some momentum, and then add more in the days, you know, as the days go by. Nobody's judging you. You're not being graded on this, right? Okay. So adding these things to your life can only help you. Even if it's just a little bit at a time, it still helps. All right. And me too. I'm doing it too. I'm doing this work every day. It is a daily practice and a daily awareness for me. All right. So that was a lot. If you found this video helpful today, please like it below. Place any comments down below. I'll try to get to them, and subscribe, you know, for more videos about divorcing smart. All right. Take care.